car, it's easy to know when you're running low on fuel. Just check the gas gauge, and a light alerts you to the fact that only a few gallons remain. How would you drive if you had no fuel gauge? You would stop at gas stations more often just to be sure, but eating the right amount of food each day is a bit like driving without a fuel gauge. We're not sure how much food we need. Maybe our diets would improve if we had a built-in calorie gauge. Of course, it would work in the reverse of a gas gauge. The calorie gauge would start on empty and work its way toward full. And when we eat almost enough food for a day, a warning light would alert us. But we don't have calorie gauges, so we stop at calorie filling stations too often just to be sure. The average person eats over 2,700 calories a day. Back in 1970, it was only 2,300. Part of the reason is that today there are a lot more filling stations to stop at. But go back to when most people lived and worked on farms, and you'll find that they ate even more than we do today. Yet they didn't worry as much about being overweight. They needed more calories because life required more physical effort. How much you need to eat depends on your activity level. Think of the size of my pyramid as illustrating how much food you need each day. People who are very active, like most of our ancestors, had a larger pyramid. They used more calories than people who are less active, like most folks today. Today, we need less food, but find it increasingly cheap and available, a combination that invites overeating. Gender and age influence your pyramid size. For example, moderately active 16-year-old males have a 40% larger pyramid than females. Even for 40-year-olds, the male pyramid is 30% larger. For 11-year-olds, there is only a 10% difference since both sexes are still growing. Guys need more calories because they're often, but not always, larger than gals, and because most men have a higher percentage of weight in muscle and bone than most women. The average woman has 27% of her weight as body fat, compared to the male's 15%. Since fat does not require as much energy as muscle and bone, women need less calories. That's not to say women are overweight. The extra fat is part of female anatomy. The best way to find the size of your pyramid is to look it up on the mypyramid.gov website, or use the chart that accompanies this program. Here are some of the most common pyramid sizes and calories for people who get from 30 to 60 minutes a day of moderate exercise in addition to their normal daily activities. Calories count, but you don't have to count calories every meal. Instead, develop portion awareness. How much you need daily from each food group depends on your calorie needs. Learn your suggested portion for each group. For example, red is the fruit group. As the size of the pyramid changes from 1,600 calories for children to 3,200 for very active teen males, the amount of fruit grows from 1.5 to 2.5 cups. It's easier to count cups than calories. The vegetable group ranges from 2 to 4 cups. The grain group goes from 5 to 10 ounce equivalents. We'll explain ounce equivalents later. It's a larger range since grains account for about half of daily calories in my pyramid. The milk-dairy group is mainly about calcium. It's the only one that does not change, staying at 3 cups of non- or low-fat milk. The beans and meat protein foods varies from 5 to 7 ounce equivalents. Oils move from 5 to 11 teaspoons. The ribbon is small because the amount of oil is small, but each ounce is so calorie-packed that fats and oils supply from 20 to 35% of calories. Getting the right amount of food is far more complicated than keeping a gas tank filled. Food is more than fuel, and feeling full or hungry is part biology and part psychology. A study at Pennsylvania State University shows we eat more when more food is placed in front of us, about 30 to 50% more. The surprise is that we don't feel more full, nor do we realize we're eating more food. Ask Hooks to fry chicken, and they'll pour about an ounce more oil into the frying pan from a 48-ounce bottle than from a 24-ounce bottle. The larger the size, the more we tend to use. People often buy large sizes of products, ranging from dishwashing soap to breakfast cereal, to save a few pennies, without being aware that they are more likely to use more of the product each time. The dinner plate in many restaurants has expanded from 10 to 12 inches. What looks like a full meal on a 10-inch plate appears smaller on the larger plate. The larger plate creates the illusion of less food while providing more calories. Food providers say they serve bigger portions because that's what people want. Starbucks coffee shops were inspired by cafes in Europe, but a typical cappuccino at an Italian cafe is quite small by American standards. Starbucks has accustomed coffee drinkers to 12, 16, and 20-ounce sizes called tall, grande, and a word they invented, venti. When the venti size was introduced in 1996, the 8-ounce short size dropped off the lineup. Order the same meal in Chicago and Paris, and the French meal will usually be smaller and lower in calories. The croissant in France is half the size of the typical American version. Restaurants, especially fast food, often tempt you by offering a lot more food for only a little more money. For example, Subway sells both a 6 and a 12-inch sandwich. Of course, the foot-long sandwich has 100% more calories, but only a 46% larger price tag. Upsizing a mini bun to the classic Cinnabon costs only about 50 cents, but adds 123% more calories. Consumers see it as a value. Consider a soft drink at a fast food restaurant. The smallest size might sell for about a penny a calorie, but move to the 32-ounce size and the added calories sell for about 4 for a penny. When you eat out, you buy calories. The last calorie you eat is usually cheaper than the first, but the last calorie is more expensive in terms of health. Even the names given to sizes influence buying. Few adults would order a child size of anything. At Dairy Queen, what is now the child size Blizzard was once simply the small size. The smallest size food might be your more reasonable choice, even if it's called a child size. The kids' meal at many fast food restaurants makes a suitable light meal for many adults. Fast food restaurants offer value or combo meals that add fries or chips and a soft drink for less than if purchased separately. This bundling technique sells added fat and calories at a low cost. The smallest size or simplest meal might not be the most food for your dollar, but it is often the smartest nutritional choice. My pyramid describes servings using cups, ounces, or teaspoons, but we often eat in units. A sandwich, a container, or that most basic of units, a plateful. We tend to eat until the plate is clean, especially if food is prepared for us. Since nearly half our food is consumed away from home, more food for the dollar easily leads to excess calories. There's another force working to encourage eating too much: inflatable food. No, not the kind you blow up with a bicycle pump. Food sizes inflate very slowly. Over time, you eat more calories, but each change is so small you don't notice the change, perhaps until you start inflating. Bagels have inflated. 20 years ago, a bagel was typically 3 inches in diameter and 140 calories. Today's super bagels are often 6 inches and 350 calories. Large sizes are now the norm. In 1973, the largest soft drink at a 7-Eleven store was 20 ounces. In the early 21st century, the smallest size was 20 ounces. Consumers demand value. But that demand meant the average person drank 21 gallons of soft drinks in 1970, but over 50 gallons a year today. Part of the reason is that we drink the whole thing. Many people consider this 20-ounce soft drink a single serving. Yet in the 1950s, a bottle only 6 ounces larger was called the family size. The typical chocolate chip cookie 20 years ago measured 1.5 inches and 55 calories. Today's inflated cookies are more likely to weigh in at a hefty 275 calories or more. A standard Hershey chocolate bar today is about 1.5 ounces, but the first Hershey bar of 1908 weighed only 6/10 of an ounce. Today's small bite-sized bars weigh a little over a half an ounce, just like the original. Yesterday's bar became today's bite or snack size. Buying popcorn at the movies long ago meant a 5-cup box of popcorn with about 250 calories. Today's tubs hold well over 800 calories, and a truly small-sized popcorn no longer exists. So, fast food meals, soft drinks, chocolate bars, and popcorn are members of the Inflatable Food Club.